Welcome to Bob Larson Live. Tonight, I fell in love with a real demon. An episode of I Have a Demon. By the way, if you'd like to be on I Have a Demon, just go on to I Have a Demon at boblarson.org. Let us hear from you, your story, what your situation is for consideration for ministry right here on Bob Larson Live. I fell in love with a demon? More about that in a moment. We're taking chats tonight. Got some out there already. God bless you. American Top Gunner. Top Gunner. Well, Maverick. Hello, everyone. HD Shining Light Prineville. That's a mouthful. Tyrone. Hi, Pastor Bob. Another message from him says, I am watching from Prineville, Oregon. I've been to Oregon many times, never heard of it. That's interesting. Next name's Little Tough. Silban? I hope I got that right. Waiting in Ireland. Hello, Bob. And Dudette says, hi, Reverend Bob. So, jump on the chat line, would you now? I fell in love with a demon. Now, some people are mentally tormented by demons. Others are afflicted physically. I want you to meet a woman who fell madly in love with a real demon who consumed her whole life. She cast her first spell at the age of 14. Entities forced her to leave her body and would take over her hand with automatic handwriting to write whatever they wanted. She was baptized as a child, but became a Wiccan as an adolescent, drawn to witchcraft. Eventually, she obsessed about suicide. Her ex-boyfriend, whose family were involved in Freemasonry, he tried to strangle her. She says she's been physically assaulted and thrown about by demons. You do not want to miss this compelling account of an extremely unusual demonic attack. By the way, time flies. I can't believe how close I am to being in Baltimore. Actually, it's a month away, so all my friends at New Life Sanctuary, they're in the Essex, Maryland area. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. And then on June the 8th, that's the new date for the Rocky Mountain region. I'm going to be there one day only, strictly in-person encounters. So if you'd like to meet with me for ministry, please go to boblarson.org. Follow the prompts there on the part of our ministry site that talks about personal one-on-ones. And you can always call our offices and get that information as well. And like and share. Would you do that, please? Always. Like, okay? It's so crucial that you do that to help us out, to expand this ministry via the internet. And of course, share. Now, this is a highly unusual topic tonight. I fell in love with a demon? I don't think you've probably ever heard anybody anywhere talk about that kind of topic. So you don't want to miss this tonight. And subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now, last Tuesday, we did a special blog on the Tennessee Covenant Christian School shooting. And it had just happened. The next morning, I was on it right away, but we went live here from the studio, and I talked about it and taught on the subject and gave a lot of insights on it by God's grace. If you were a subscriber, you would have gotten a notice. Now, we sent out an e-blast at the last minute to let people know, but those who are subscribers were already aware of it. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, and by God's grace, if it's possible, we will be here to give a spiritual and especially a spiritual warfare perspective on it, which we did. And of course, that story is still unfolding. And now it's taken the spin I suspected it would take, and that is blaming the Christian parents for what happened, because now they're saying this young woman, and I'm going to refer to her as a woman because biologically she was, and there's no indication she had transitioned. So this young woman wanted to be gay, wanted to be transgendered. Her parents didn't approve of. They would not let her dress as a man in the house. That's the story. Who knows if it's true? And that as a result of their prejudice, it tipped her over the edge. And I would hope that most people in the trans community don't take that viewpoint. Let's not polarize ourselves and make it any worse than it already is. It's a horrible tragedy. The devil did it. Can we just all point our fingers at Satan and say, Satan, you did this? That's the approach I believe we need to take. And if you want to know more, by the way, I've gotten to all those chats there, so if you clear the screen and get me some more, I really would appreciate it because I want to respond to people live tonight. If you really want to know about spiritual warfare, obviously the best place to go is Bob Larson University. And let me give you a quick update on that. Bob Larson University is a 5-department course structure online. It's an educational track to take you to the highest level, the deepest depth of knowledge and understanding about spiritual warfare, deliverance, inner healing, exorcism ministry that's ever been compiled. And that's just a fact. We have dedicated our lives to providing that information. And so it's now available in 5 departments. Well, it will be completely in 5, but let me tell you where we are. First of all, there's the International School of Exorcism with 30 courses, followed by the Advanced Academy Deliverance, which consists of 10 courses. And these are highly professionally produced videos that you will see that guide you along with a study guide and a testing structure for certification. And then the 3rd department we released last fall, which was the College of Apologetics and Demonology. We finished loading all 10 videos to the site about a month or so ago. We are now, of the next 10 courses of the Institute of Supernatural Studies, we just completed course number 5. It's been filmed, and 3 have already been loaded to the website. So if you signed up to get all 5 courses or signed up on through the Institute of Supernatural Studies, well, you got 3 more right there to start watching. And I want to tell you, this Institute of Supernatural Studies is a very fascinating thing because I get into what is the miraculous and what is the supernatural. Those terms are bandied about, and most people don't have a definitional distinctive about what it means. And you will really understand, well, what is supernatural, what is not supernatural, what appears to be supernatural, but isn't, and what is miraculous, but not just supernatural. So it isn't just a splitting of hairs. It's important to know this in ministry. As you walk in the supernatural, and nothing's more supernatural than casting out demons. So I really encourage you to do that. And of course, the next best thing or the additional thing would be join the members only channel right now. And we're just in another month, it's going to be even more. In fact, starting next week, starting on the 1st, at the commander level, you will have, drum roll, 192 videos to watch. That's pretty amazing. Exorcisms behind the scenes. Exorcisms uncut. Stuff nobody's ever seen. Teaching of accelerated deliverance, deeper understanding that's in addition to all the courses of Bob Larson University. And then curse breaking, where I take you through specific curse breaking, and you can join with me and say it with me, and we agree together to break the curses. And then there's more. But you can see how important it is to expand your knowledge of spiritual warfare, and this is the way to be able to do it. Now, I want to explain to you what you're about to see. And again, clear the screen if you would for me, please. Oh, well, Amanda, someone has been added there. What gamers need to get an exorcism? Almost all gamers probably need one. Because why? Violence, kill counts, murder, bloodshed, mythic monsters that often have a very real context in the occult, and characters, and some of them named after demons, and some of the monsters named after demons. I mean, come on. Let's get real here about gaming. It opens the door to demons. By the way, Friday, the new D&D, Dungeons and Dragons movie comes out, and I'm releasing a short commentary on that. So subscribe so you'll know the minute it becomes available. The woman that I described a moment ago, this individual who contacted us to be on I Have a Demon, has an extraordinary story. I gave you a little bit of it before. And what happened today, stick around for the punchline at the end because it's pretty interesting. We invite her to come in earlier this afternoon to do some pre-filming of her story. And it's remarkable. It's probably unlike anything that you've ever heard before. So, what you're going to watch is the first part of this time that we spent with her. We filmed it on the set where Bob Larson University is filmed. You're not going to find it very easy to believe some of the things that are being said here, but just take it for what it is and listen to it. It was filmed earlier today. Take a look at this first, and then I'm coming right back here on the set at the desk to tell you more of the story. So, earlier today, here is what happened. Thank you so much for being with us on And I Have a Demon edition of Bob Larson Live. And I guess let's start with the thing that really struck me the most. We're going to get the history behind all of this and everything that's going on in your life, but you fell in love with a demon. How did that happen?
He lied to me, and I thought he came to me as something else and told me he was an alien. And
an alien.
Yeah, and they created emotion in me, and I truly believe that they created the emotion because once Jordan D had prayed for the soul tie to be broken or to be, it shut that off.
Okay, but you say they. Was it one or more than one?
I believe that it was more than one, but I thought it was only one.
Okay. This thing appeared to you. How did it appear to you? In your mind, you just saw it?
No. When they first appeared, it was just invisible. Pretty much for about 5 months, it was an invisible entity.
Oh, okay, so what was it you were sensing during this time?
I could feel their energy, and they would give me this feeling of bliss, like this amazing feel of bliss.
But I'm not understanding. You got these feelings. I get that. You just sensed there was something in the room?
So they started by holding my hand. So I had a sense to start meditating. When I moved out on my own, something was telling me.
I'm going to keep interrupting you because all these things are so crucial. So you had practiced meditation before?
No, I hadn't before I moved out. So about 6 months ago, 6 months ago, I just kept having this desire.
When did you learn to meditate?
Well, the way that I meditated was just listening to music. They would play these love songs to me. The songs, the music would be changed, the lyrics would be changed.
Wait, how did they play love songs to you?
I just listened to my radio on Pandora app or my Apple Music, but the songs were kind of changed a bit.
Are you saying they manipulated
Yes.
the Pandora app?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're hearing these love songs, and then you feel something
holding my hand.
Take your hand.
Yeah, so I felt like it was a comforting, it felt like a comforter. It felt more like an angel. And I had a lot of PTSD at the time. I was dealing with a lot of a fear, and it helped me let go of a lot of issues that I had with fear and loneliness, and it filled those voids for me.
And you thought it was an angel? Or
At first, well, for the first 4 months, I thought it was my meditation that was causing the bliss. I thought through meditation, I was creating a feeling of bliss.
For 4 months?
Yeah.
And then it was after that they took your hand?
Yes, and so once, I had a friend over because I wanted to show her how to meditate and feel this feeling of bliss as well. And when we tried to do that, we got a call from one of my other friends, and she was in a very dangerous situation. Somebody that we had known was threatening to
Okay.
was starting to kill her, and so we had to stay on the phone with her for about 2 hours to make sure she was safe, and because we couldn't even figure
What
out.
did that have to do with these beings?
Well, I think that they manipulated that situation as well. So when they called exactly at the time that I was sitting her down, my friend down, to start meditating with me.
Okay. So they start out holding your hand, and you feel this energy, this vibe, this...
Well, that night after my friend went home, because she was too shook up to meditate with me, to continue to start the meditation, she left. And that night, that's when I actually felt like, I had actually, before that, I had felt like a hand on my back and different comforts. And so I didn't know if it was like my grandfather passed away or something, if it was what it was, but I would feel
You thought maybe it was a dead person.
yeah, so I felt like a hand on my back, that like when I was stressed or I was in, when I was having, issues, I'd feel like hands on my back or on my shoulder.
Okay.
But that night after she left is when I found out there was an entity, because what it did was it took my hand and it folded it down and made me flipping the bird. And it scared the crud out of me. But then it started tugging my hair and playing with my feet, going back and forth doing that. So I felt that it was telling me that it was just joking, they somehow gave me an emotion that felt like I was incredibly at ease.
You didn't think this was ever a demon at that point?
No, I don't know. I would have always thought I would sense evil. I just assumed that I would always sense something demonic.
So you didn't
or
sense
bad.
it was evil?
No, I sensed, I felt complete love and at peace with it. Like it gave me these emotions of,
Where did it go
of
from
calming.
there?
So after that, I just, when I put my hands out, I would get that feeling of bliss. So I could even walk throughout the day, put my hands out, and I would feel that feeling of bliss as long as I put my hands up like this. But I believe that it was causing me to worship without me realizing I was worshiping.
Okay. How long did this go on, this love affair, this supernatural thing?
It turned bad, I believe, March 14th is when it turned dangerous. And
But over space from when it began?
October to March.
Okay, so about 3 months there and another 2 months plus.
Yeah.
This is about 5 months or so this thing is going on. Mm-hmm. I need to ask you, did it ever try to become sexual with you, or was it just romantic?
Just romantic, and it was very just playful, and
And you thought you were in love?
I felt like a very acceptance of it. I mean, not like in a romantic, like a boyfriend, but like just like a great empathy.
Okay.
Great empathy.
And you'd been through, and we'll perhaps get into a little bit of this, but you've been through some horribly broken relationships, horribly abusive background. It's like you were set up for something to come along
Yes.
and offer you this unconditionality. This.
Yeah, I was incredibly lonely, and I was healing from a very
Okay, so
traumatic
you
relationship.
said then, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was healing from a very traumatic relationship, and that was, there was a lot of trauma.
Is this the boyfriend who
Yeah.
tried to strangle you?
Yes, or did strangle me. Yeah.
He did?
Well, choked with an arm, so not hands, but an arm.
Okay. And he was abusive to you physically?
Yeah, yeah.
So you were coming out of that when this came along.
Yeah, I had left that, but I believe that it was the one who separated me from him. It wanted me away from everything. It had cut relationships with all my friends. It had slowly gotten me away from my family, and got me. I think it wanted me alone.
Did it speak?
Yes, it did. So at
You
first,
heard it in your mind?
No, I heard it audibly out loud. That's what I took some recordings. So I documented the whole thing. I would set up my recorder every night. Before I started, I would pray to God to be there.
The voices were on the recorder?
Yes. And so I would pray to God to give us guidance and be with us throughout the session together, and to show us what we needed to do, and show us, what His will for us was.
Wait. To show God's will for you and this being?
Yeah, yeah. And so I would do the prayer. I would set my recorder up, and it would, it could last up to 12 hours or so.
12 hours.
Yeah,
And there was another voice on the recorder.
yeah. They definitely.
I got to hear that. I mean, I can't hear it now,
yeah,
but
I record it all. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that would be pretty fascinating
It
to
is,
hear. Okay,
yeah.
did you play this back and listen to it?
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to now because the songs, I believe, are
Well,
worshiping.
You don't still listen to some of this stuff.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So what was the turning point? I guess several weeks ago, something happened, and you realized this was evil.
So yes. So what happened was I contacted my pastor about it to find out what I should do. That there's this going on. What would you recommend for me to do? And that's when the voice had told me that I was going to get karma for it, and it said that I would receive karma, and that's when
Karma.
Yeah. And that's when I saw like shadows of beings.
Try to keep looking at me here.
Okay, so I saw.
That's okay.
I saw shadows of beings.
I'm trying to
yeah.
keep my eyes on you, just to watch what's going
Yeah.
on. All right, go ahead.
So
please.
that's when I think that it brought in other beings. At the time
Well,
I didn't know.
what did the pastor say? Did he say this?
He didn't call me back. I don't even know if he got the message. But they can very much manipulate your phone and
So
electronics.
this is when you contacted me.
Yeah. But so that night they showed up with quite a few beings, and a voice told me, "These are not your friends. You need to fight." And I don't know if it was an angel.
Other beings? How many?
It looked maybe like at least a dozen or so.
Okay. Did you see them again, or is
No,
it just feeling the presence?
No, you could see like almost like fuzziness, like a fuzzy shape. So it's very hard. I didn't get a lot of pictures of that. I got a lot of pictures of the orbs and everything, of what they would look like beforehand, before they would turn into beings. But you would see like almost like a shadowy figure, almost like I don't know how to explain it, but you could see through it. But
A ghost, a misty figure.
yeah, yes, you would see that. I would also see smoke in my bathroom. Like in 2 occasions, there was smoke in my bathroom, there was nothing
Okay,
lit.
right. So that is where you ended up at that point.
But that night, I didn't know what was going on, but they told me these are not your friends, and that's when I realized, okay, I'm dealing. I came to, I started realizing that I'm dealing
And
with
that's
demons.
when you contacted us.
Yes, and so I prayed against them. I rebuked them. They kept me up for like 2 nights of just constant prayer against them.
How did you know to contact me?
I saw you speak over 20 years ago in 2006 or 2007.
Wow.
And so I had some poltergeisty activity back then, and
Why didn't you get help before?
I thought that I could not imagine that these were anything evil, because when that had happened in 2006, 2007, it was a very scary feeling. But I mean, I was terrified, back then. But they did it in such a way that, so they showed me their power. So when I was at my house, before I moved onto the boat, I had a lot of scary things happen.
What boat?
My houseboat. And so the houseboat we fled to after having a lot of traumatic things
Who's
happen at
we?
the house. Me and my ex-boyfriend.
He experienced this stuff too.
Yeah.
So you guys get out of the house, get on a houseboat.
Yeah. And we just kind of separated ourselves from
Did they
everything.
follow you there?
We never had anything. We had, some voices and stuff, but no break-ins or throwing our stuff around or trashing stuff.
Okay, I want to roll things back. There's so much to find out here. We're never going to find out all of it, but we're going to find out enough. All right.
I felt
You're Italian and Yugoslavian.
yes,
Okay, that's an interesting combination. Were you born in the United States?
yes, in Alaska.
Alaska. Okay. That's not where your houseboat was.
No.
Okay.
No.
And then your parents, were they born in Italy or Yugoslavia?
No, grandparents.
Grandparents were. So your parents.
My grandfather was from Yugoslavia, and then my grandmother Italy.
Just before we walked in here, you kind of dropped a bomb on me about the grandfather.
There was it was an accidental shooting. I think the gun got brought out in a fight, and it resulted in the death of my great grandmother.
Accidental?
There was a struggle. I think they took it out just to.
They got into a fight, and,
yeah.
and he had a gun.
Yeah, and
he shot her.
In the struggle, yes, she got shot during a struggle.
What was that? Italy or Yugoslavia?
No, that was here in the United States.
In the United
Yeah.
States. Okay, all right. As a child, you indicate that you were drawn to the occult. You said you were into Wiccan as a child,
Yeah.
and you were into psi phenomena, PSI, for those who don't know, and the paranormal and all this type of thing. So tell me what you did as a child. How were you affected by all of this?
I just I didn't really do much with it. I just did the holidays and so forth, and the rituals in which you did for holidays.
Okay.
The pagan holidays.
And back in Yugoslavia, the grandparents and so on, what was their religious affiliation? Orthodox?
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
What's your religion?
I wasn't raised with much religion. So we didn't really go to church or anything. So I found religion. I started studying religion when I was about 14, and it seemed like the easiest one to follow was Wicca. They only had they had the least amount of rules.
Which you got that
so,
right?
At 14, yeah.
Well, they do have a rule.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's called the law of threefold return. If you do something bad, you're going to get 3 times worse back. Or they borrow from Aleister Crowley, do without will, just the whole law.
That was
do what you want to do as long as you don't
hurt
harm
anybody. Yes.
But
that was
okay, so you were into all of that. You didn't realize it was wrong. You didn't understand it was evil.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do like curses or anything like that.
So when you came to see me 20 years ago, wherever that was, what did you think about that?
It gave me information. I mean, to be honest, that kind of went away on its own. I didn't have to do a whole lot to get out of that. It just kind of stopped. The harassment. I started reading the Bible often, out loud, and playing Christian music all the time, and it seemed like it just went away on its own.
Right. But then here you are years later, being sucked back into all of this.
Yeah, and now it refuses to.
And you also mentioned to me you astral projected when you were younger. You left your body.
Well, we did. I'm trying to think.
And you did some automatic handwriting too.
That was not when I was a child. That was this. This is when I was older. This time.
This time. Mm-hmm. And it just took your hand and wrote.
Yeah. So I wrote. I have a journal that I took a journal because I thought that I was dealing with something that was going to really help humanity. I mean, they told me that they had cures for cancer, that they had all of these things that could help us, but they weren't sure if they wanted to help us.
These are your lovers.
No, well, not lovers, but the people that
This is before you fell in love with the demon.
Well, no, this is who came to me, told me that there was an alien.
Oh, alien, but the alien that you had the love for, this relationship with, or this thing. Okay, and you were to write out what?
No, I just wrote down what happened every single night, what it did, and what happened during the night. It would, if it held my hand, if it played with my hair, I just wrote everything down that would happen throughout the day and through the evening, or things that they would tell me. So I just kept that documented because I thought this is, something that should be documented. And
you were obsessed with this.
Yeah. It gave me these incredible feelings of bliss and joy. I mean, it was absolutely very manipulative.
What was your day job? How were you supporting yourself?
I have a company that I'm self-employed.
Okay. So you were able to be flexible with your schedule, and if your alien lover friend called, you were available.
Yeah, it was just, when I would just turn on the music and start meditating, it just came, yeah.
But what happened recently was enough to shake you up. And you're sitting here in a foot boot.
Yeah, it attacked me.
attacked you.
Yes.
So you got this big boot on your foot. I don't know if we can see that in the camera range or not. Uncross your legs there, just so people can see what we're talking about here. So what happened to your foot? You get yourself comfortable.
So it came at me, and I.
When? A couple days ago?
Yeah, 2 nights ago. And
that's when you knew you were going to be with me.
Yes.
Okay, it came at you.
It came at me, and something in my instinct told me that it was trying to take full possession of me. I don't know what it was that told me that, but that was the feeling that I got. It did something, it came at me very physical. I'd never felt anything like that powerful at me. And it was very strong. I mean, it was very strong. And
what did it do to your foot?
I felt it came at me and did something. It was trying to do something to my head, and I don't know what it was trying to do, but I felt like it was trying to enter me. And I backed away from it. Once it stopped, I was standing there, and I felt an incredible pressure in my toe, and just an incredible pressure. And
just standing.
Yeah. And I felt the incredible pressure, and I then went and I grabbed my Bible, I grabbed my crucifix, and I ran for the door. And I made it out. It grabbed my crucifix and my Bible, and it took it from me and threw it. And
wait a minute. Mm-hmm. You had a cross and a Bible.
Yes.
Okay.
It ripped it out of my hands. And while it was ripping me out...
Supernaturally.
Yes.
Something you couldn't see.
It was invisible, yes. It was completely...
Ripped it out of your hands.
Completely invisible.
And threw it at the floor?
Yeah, it got thrown maybe 6 feet or so at least. And I made it out my door. I ran to the neighbors to try to get help. I made it to the door.
How could you run if your foot was...
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about anything that you heard.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
was fighting for my life. No,
okay.
I was fighting for my life,
right.
yeah. So once I got to the neighbors, I tried to get in the door and try to knock, but as I was doing that, it grabbed a hold of me and dragged me back to the house.
Wait, run that by me again. It what?
It dragged me back to my house.
How do you mean it drug you back?
It grabbed my arms. I've got some bruising on my arms. It dragged me by my arms back to the house.
Something invisible, immaterial, you can't see,
yes,
is grabbing your arm and taking you back to the house.
It was the scariest thing that I've ever experienced, yes.
This is just a couple of days ago.
Yes.
When did you get the foot boot? I mean, obviously you went to a doctor.
I went for x-rays yesterday.
Huh?
I went for x-rays yesterday.
And what was broken?
Just the big toe.
The big toe was broken?
Yeah.
And you went running on that thing? Mm-hmm. Well, people can do that for a while sometimes when they have that kind of trauma.
It was...
shock
yeah.
sets in.
Yeah. And so...
The x-ray is... I'm assuming you did not... When the doctor said, how did this happen?
No, I did not tell anybody.
It's not say a demon did it.
No, the only people that
because
I called...
now you're going to see another doctor.
I called
Okay.
a nun, and then my friend who I had been talking to about the meditation, because she's been with me through everything.
Wait, who's been with you?
A friend of mine, and so
she does meditation?
No, I was going to teach her meditation, but that happened that night with another friend of mine, so it scared her, and she went home, and so she never did it.
What is this meditation thing?
That's how I started feeling the blissful feeling, and I thought I was getting that blissful feeling through meditation. However,
just by what? Sitting still?
Sitting still and meditating, listening to the music that was playing.
Christian music?
No.
No.
No, like it sounded like love songs.
Okay, well, has it occurred to you that maybe this meditation was part of the problem?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it was them putting that in my head to meditate, yeah.
Okay. Are you in pain right now, or is this under control?
It's not too bad.
Okay. All right.
Ow.
And the doctor says you got to wear that for how long?
I'm not sure. I've got to go to the orthopedic doctor.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
There are so many parts to your story with what information you sent me. A lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. Anything about that you want to mention that you went through? Because I don't want to say something you might not want to talk about.
One of the things that I would like to mention is when we were at the house prior to moving onto the boat, there was a lot of scary things that had happened. I had seen things move. I had had, things, like
try to look
I
at
had
me.
had things touch me, like it was very traumatic. And I had had things, my house, I'd come home to my house and it would be trashed. And my alarm would go off every time I would leave from the motion detector. And there would be orbs floating on our video cameras when you looked at our cameras. And the dogs were terrified. And so all of these things, when it came to me, it did all of those things, but in a way that made me feel like it was showing me so that I wouldn't be scared anymore of it. So when it showed me, I thought they were giving me peace, and it was trying to help me let go of that PTSD and those scared feelings and emotions.
Okay,
So I felt it was something, it was trying to help me, because I had prayed for God to help heal me from that trauma. And so I felt like this was somebody good that was.
And you got help from one of our ministry associates, Justin.
Yes.
And I understand that he prayed with you to break a soul tie you had with this ex-boyfriend. And that got you a lot of relief.
Yes, it did.
Okay. And he's history.
Yes.
Is anything else crucial you want to tell me before I pray with you?
No.
All right, we're going to stop it right there. As to the question, is there anything else you want to tell me? The answer was no. So here's what happened next. I tried to minister to her. I tried to reach out to her and cast out these demons, and it didn't seem to be going anywhere. She started to manifest. Something looked at me several times, but I couldn't get past whatever was blocking the situation. And then she got up from the set and walked out of the studio. I had two of our associate ministers with me here, one of them a lady, who followed her out and went with her and had a conversation with her. And during that conversation, learned a lot of the reasons why the demon was not manifested. I mean, you heard the story. Is it all true? Well, I don't know. There's no way to objectively verify it. It's her account of what happened. However, obviously there was enough going on that some serious stuff could be taking place. Now, just hold it right there, because I'm going to come back and tell you what happened next. A couple of chats out there. John, which demon was it that this person fell in love with? Well, apparently it initially didn't give a name. It only had appearances, and it was from those appearances that I have an idea of what the demons were. But it never spoke a particular name. Joseph said, hey, Bob. Now, can you turn rods into serpents and give people magic hair like Samson, or turn water into wine, or curse a tree and make it wither? What's that mean? Of course, you're an unbeliever and a skeptic. And so you're trying to say, if you can't do those things, then why should I believe you? I don't believe me. Believe him who sent me. That's what Jesus said. The Father had said him. Jesus sent me. Believe him. Believe what the Word of God says. Wooten. Dr. Larson, I attended one of your Do What Jesus Did conferences about 10 years or so ago. Yes, we used to hold those annually and got away from that during COVID, but we'll get back to it. Dancing spirits for his glory. I think that's dancing. Remember, the members only channel 1 year. Why do we send demons to the pit? We talk about that at length in Bob Larson University. Where do you want to send them? Club Med? I don't think so. Christians watching in the movie Get Out in the Name of Jesus did not like the words the pit. That's their problem, not mine. Explain the pit, please. If you're going to cast out a demon, it needs to be done right. You can't do it capriciously. You can't do it randomly. You can't do it hopefully. You can't do it by the latest technique that you learn. Now, I've been decades figuring out, following the leading of the Holy Spirit to decide exactly how you cast out a spirit. So let me just say, enroll in Bob Larson University, read some of our books and what I've had to say about this, but it all comes down to this. If a demon is not properly manifested, and in most cases, there are always exceptions to the rule, and communicated with directly, interrogated, and there's some response, and you find out the legal right, and the legal right is canceled, and the curses are broken, and then, maybe you don't like the protocol that I have for casting out a demon, but you need procedurally something. Doesn't always have to be exactly the same words. To me, at the end, it always is. It works. It's like Bill Bright's 4 spiritual laws. Millions of people have come to Christ because of those simple rules about how to present the gospel. Why? Are there other ways to do it? Sure. Why did so many millions come to the Lord through that? Because it works. It's something the Holy Spirit showed him, and as a result of that and his work through Campus Crusade for Christ, it has been a world-changing situation. In deliverance, it's really important. I don't want to get into this too much. It's a little off topic, but I teach this in Bob Larson University. Words are crucial. Contractually getting the demon to sign off on who he is, his lack of a right, and his destination is the key to full expulsion and permanency. You can't just send demons out. Oh, I know there's a whole biblical idea that you can do that because it doesn't always say where Jesus sent them. But they knew where they were going. He was Jesus. He didn't have to tell them. They knew it. But there are other instances in which it's very clear. For example, he sent them to dry places, but the dry places lead to the pit. And I explain this in Bob Larson University. So let's not try to pit me against anybody else in terms of how we go about it. Look, I'm grateful for anybody who gets delivered, if they really get delivered. I'm really grateful for anybody who gets their demons cast out of them, if they're really cast out. How do you know? Unless there is agreement with the world of the demonic and the inhabiting spirit that's in the demoniac, and the deal is closed. That's why we take that approach. Okay, but it's a very interesting question. John says, I'm an occultist, animist, and polytheist. You're confused, that's what. I've observed many things. I'm just here to observe and learn more about this perspective. Great, welcome. Keep watching. Jill, looking with interest, listening with interest from London, UK. John, Beelzebub can perform exorcism. What makes this any different or less helpful? Are you joking, John? Beelzebub is a demon. Some consider him to be the prince of demons. Certainly, they accuse Jesus of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebub. Very powerful, but a filthy, disgusting spirit. He gets his name as the Lord of the Flies because this was a spirit associated with the dung heap, the refuse, which they just piled outside the city. And because it was filled with flies and all sorts of putrid things, this demon was associated with. That's the demon you say can perform exorcism? I don't know what you are. Must be an alchemist, black magician, something. Gaming Revolution, United States Marine here. God bless you. Thank you for your service to the country. Chrissy, hello from Canada. Hi. Bob, husband and I used to see you over in Dallas back in the 90s. That's absolutely right. And the 2000s. So long ago, I can't remember. Well, I can remember. Good to see you again. Valda, I'm here in Jamaica. All right. Watching from Ireland. Any teenager who's into the cult should be watching. There were 2 high schools here in Hamilton, New Zealand. Pam, you might be surprised to know I have been to Hamilton, actually spoke in that city many years ago. They are doing there in Hamilton, New Zealand, a production involving witches. I am not going to see it. Good for you. Your lovely Bible City. Pastor Bob has seen and heard just about everything at this point tied the spiritual realm. That's right. Ben says, I've not been to a lot of these live sessions, but this is definitely the scariest one I've heard so far. Adrian, God bless you. Remember, there's a member only channel. Hey, Adrian, I saw the flyer about you preaching deliverance and holding up my cross in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't know whether it's coming or going or whatever, but God bless you, brother. So excited to see you taking the message to the people. Jackson, can veterans use their GI Bill to enroll in your university? Well, that's a good question. Thank you for the gift of $4.99. No, we don't have a relationship with the government in that regard. However, we do make special concessions for veterans who have served our country, and we want to show our appreciation for that. Now, let's get back to what just happened a few moments ago. So, after what you just saw, I ministered to this woman, and she manifested lightly, but not deeply. I knew she had demons. How did I know she had demons? Evidence convicted. There was sufficient evidence to convict the devil that he was there. And as I said to her, if even half of what she said was true, she had demons. You only need one open door to get a demon. Just play with a Ouija board once. Just have your tarot cards read once. You could get a demon. Have them read a dozen times, because a dozen times more potential that you're going to get a demon. So, she had demons. Of course she had demons. Based on that information, so why no breakthrough? So, as I said a moment ago, and understand everything I'm saying here is not in any way to denigrate this woman. She's a very sincere woman. She's new to the Christian faith. She's new to understanding the spiritual things and deliverance. But she's got a good heart. She was fasting before she came here. But one of our ministry associates followed her. And then she began to share with this ministry associate some things which she did not say on set. Changed everything. Now, I am not going to reveal the confidences of what she said, but she gave me about a dozen things she didn't tell me during what you saw that completely changed the complexion. So I spent a long time after the filming talking with her about the importance of full disclosure. Whether you're getting counseling, therapy, certainly ministry, even emotional healing ministry, let alone deliverance ministry, of telling the whole story. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes there are embarrassing things to talk about. Sometimes there are shameful things to talk about. Often it's not the person's fault. But it's really hard. They have stigmatized themselves, and they live in self-condemnation, and the demons make them feel miserable. People who have had virtual or personal encounters with me, and some of you are watching, have done that, and you heard me say to you, right at the beginning, almost always I tell people, my ability to help you is as good as the information, the data that I have, and the fullest extent to which you tell me everything. Now, sometimes people don't remember everything. Sometimes they're dissociated from it. Sometimes it's a repressed part of memory. And sometimes after a deliverance session, people will come back later and say, I should have told you this, or I didn't remember this. That's a common one. Sometimes the devil just keeps it from their thinking at the time that they're undergoing deliverance. So I cannot help you. So I'm going to tell you, if you schedule an in-person or virtual encounter with me, then you do so just by going to boblarson.org and signing up there or calling our offices. The number is on our website. We'll put it up on the screen. I can only help you to the extent that you tell me what the problem is and answer every question. Now, I'm not going to unnecessarily probe into your private life, but I'm going to need to know certain things about your family of origin, about the trauma that you've experienced, about unhealthy emotions and soul bonds that you have had, all types of questions that help me to frame spiritually your situation. Now, as far as this lady is concerned, the story isn't over with yet. She's got some soul searching to do. There's some spiritual house cleaning to do. We maybe even go to her house. In fact, she cannot live in that place anymore. She's had to move and live with a friend because it's so haunted. There's so much paranormal activity there. And by the way, if you're anywhere near the Phoenix area and you think you have a haunted house, we just did a haunted house cleansing and shot a documentary of it, which you're going to see very soon. How I do it, what I go about, and the kind of demons that you find when you get into it. This one is pretty spectacular. But in this woman's case, we may or may not do that. I have to assess the situation because this all just happened literally just a couple of hours ago. But there's some lessons to be learned. I want you to hear me. This is the most important thing about all of this. American Top Gunner says, can any sin give you a demon? Yes. How do you get rid of a tarot card demon? It's a demon of divination and sorcery. That's how you approach it. So I want to tell you some lessons to be learned from what you just saw and what I've just told you. If you're going to come to me, to one of our ministry associates or our Do With Jesus deliverance teams or some other good ministry of deliverance, be transparent. If you're going to reach out for deliverance, tell the whole story. Don't keep hidden things. Now, sometimes they're shameful, hurtful, hard to talk about, but you have to, because that may be the area where Satan has a stronghold. If you reach out for deliverance, you can't hold back. Satan will exploit the smallest thing you don't reveal. And you've got to be able to trust who you are seeking for help. Now, this is really important. Because if you're going to bare your soul, which is what you have to do to get delivered, I'm sorry, you can't be delivered because some mighty man of God comes up and lays his hands on you, or woman of God, or whoever, and declares you delivered. I'm sorry. Okay, maybe occasionally that happens, but generally speaking, no. Now, wait a minute. I didn't start doing this a year or two ago, not even 5 years ago, not even 10 years ago. Okay? I've been doing this for decades. So when I speak something like that, it's not out of any prejudice. It's not out of any bigotry. It's not out of any I know everything type of thing. I've just got the experience to be able to say something like that. So you got to be open. But make sure before you start bearing your soul that the person you're bearing your soul to has a track record. They're experienced and they're trustworthy. Because you want to be very careful. You don't want to open yourself up. And you know, sometimes people have dissociative identity disorder and multiple personalities, and the truth is hidden in a separate part of the mind. I know there's some out there who don't believe in that sort of thing. Well, they're just not educated about it. They just don't understand. I've dealt with thousands and thousands of such cases, and it's therapeutically verifiable. The literature's there, and the DSM manual, even if most therapists don't use it, but many Christian counselors use it. So don't diss it. Don't say it's a demon. It's not a demon. It's a multiple personality. And sometimes that hides the secret. And there may be a secret there that needs to be let out. But if you don't trust the person you're talking to, the secret's not going to come out. Secondly, if you're going to have deliverance, and this is what you learn from a situation like this, Numbers 32:23, your sin will find you out. Proverbs 28:13, he who covers his sin will not prosper, but whoever confesses and forsakes them will have mercy. Now, I'm not in any way suggesting that this dear lady that was here just in the studio a few hours ago was deliberately trying to do something. She's had a very broken, painful, traumatic life. And a lot of things happened to her as a child, which were not of her choosing, in terms of the extraordinarily high level of abuse. So listen, friend. My heart goes out to her, but at the same time, you can't cover your sin or you won't prosper. Let's go back to Joshua 7. You know the story of Jericho and Ai? So the children of Israel had come in, they conquered Jericho. Great victory. We know the walls came down, they blew the trumpets. Then they went on to the city of Ai to conquer it. They were soundly defeated. Why? because God said, destroy everything in the city, don't touch anything. And guess what? After Ai, when they tried to fight, they were defeated because Joshua 7:11 says, Israel has sinned, they have transgressed my covenant which I commanded to them, for they have taken some of the accursed things and have stolen and deceived and put it among their stuff. King James says they put it in their tent. Therefore, now this is really important for you to understand, therefore the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies. You cannot stand before your enemies if you are hiding your sin. You cannot cast out demons if you're hiding your sin, either the deliverance minister or you. If you got sin in your life, it's not going to work. You cannot stand before your enemies if you've got stuff hidden in your life. Now, the only thing I will say about this discussion with this lady that you saw a moment ago is that there were some things she had and knew she needed to get rid of them and hadn't gotten rid of them when she needed to. That was part of the problem. Satan was holding on to that. Nothing I say is designed to condemn her. She realized what she did wrong. But I wanted you to have this as an object lesson. This woman told so much. She was extremely brave to tell what she told. A lot of it was somewhat embarrassing of how she'd been taken advantage of by these evil spirits. And she went so far, but not far enough. Not far enough. Kayla, hey Bob, my friend will contact you very soon. Have a wonderful, happy Easter. You and your family. You too. Ashley, have you considered coming to Trinidad? Actually, been in Trinidad. Some of the strongest demons I ever faced are in Trinidad because you get the Shango, Voodoo, and you also get the Hindu demons there. Valda, hi Bob, you ever think of coming to Jamaica? All the time. I love to come to Jamaica. I spend a little time on the beach right now. Wonderful people, wonderful country, very beautiful. Pastor Bob, greetings from Ukraine. Hey, hope you're safe. I'm praying for my husband. He is very angry and he can assault me, and this demon keeps coming back. I need help. God, help me, man of God. Well, I want to tell you something very clearly. If you're being assaulted by your husband, you need to seek legal help, perhaps shelter, and you need to get out. Now, don't keep putting yourself at risk. Find a counselor, find a pastor, somebody who can step into that situation and keep you safe. I pray that there aren't children involved here, but your safety is more important than trying to deal with that situation and pray it through and hope for the best. No, this is beyond if he's assaulting you. I don't know whether he's using drugs or alcohol or he's just got an anger issue. But you need to get out and send him a message. He's going to have to deal with his anger if you're going to continue in the relationship, because in my opinion, he's defrauded his marriage vows. Try. Hey, good to hear from you. You were the first person to go through our College of Apologetics and Demonology. Sending blessings all the way from Perth, Western Australia, a member for 2 years. So now I want you to listen to what I had to say. Very carefully, in summary, it's this. You cover your sin, you won't prosper. You confess it and forsake it, God will have mercy. Some of you right now need to make a step toward deliverance. It may be contacting me for a virtual encounter or an in-person encounter, or one of our associate ministers or one of our Do What Jesus Did teams, or there may be another good, experienced ministry out there that you're desiring to get help and prayer from. Great, wonderful, I'm glad for that. But make it sure that somebody's got the experience to be able to take what you tell them and properly understand it and process it, both in terms of understanding true mental health issues, as much as they can, at least some cursory understanding, as well as an understanding to deep emotional inner healing, as well as demons. Just make sure that you do that. And like this dear lady, sincere, fasted, prayed, believed, but had things she hadn't dealt with. Well, now she's aware of that. So we're going to reach out to her again. There probably will be a part 2 of this, which you'll get to see. But I want to make sure that next time, disclosure, honesty, transparency. This is a crucial message to those of you who want the devil out of your life. Get somebody who knows what they're doing. Get the right kind of help. And then when you find that individual, make sure that you are as open as you can possibly be. And through that, you will be able to get free. But not only that, the reason I'm so firm in some of the things I said tonight is because I want you to have complete freedom. Thank you for supporting this ministry. If you've appreciated tonight the teaching and our approach and everything we said about this, let me know. Go right now to boblarson.org and click on donate, or just, if you prefer to do it on your cell phone, text the word give to 833-361-4711 and share a gift. Thank you. Next week, another episode of I Have a Demon. This is a story that is equally fascinating and insightful and helpful. Don't miss it. You never know what's going to happen around here. But because of your prayers, your financial support, your tithes, your offerings, your gifts, and your thanks toward the Lord for this ministry, investing in it so that we can bring you these messages, you and many others will get free, stay free, and live free.
Your financial support and prayers make it possible for us to bring hope for the hurting and freedom to those in spiritual bondage. For the latest information regarding ministry outreaches, go to boblarson.org or call 303-980-1511.